Welcome to the name of the podcast. Oh, wait, no, I think I'm supposed to say what it is. Dirty Mind Podcast. My name is Dirt, hence the name. So today, full disclosure, I am in a vehicle. Said vehicle is in motion, moving down a public road. And I am also the operator of said vehicle, but it's okay because it's hands-free because I have hooves. So the thing that we're going to be talking about today is going to be discussed, but not quite yet because it's almost time for everyone's favorite segment. And I'm not going to say the name of it because that's sort of my cue when I'm editing this, is when I hear that I said the name of it. That's when I cut to the new segment, but I'm not going to say it quite yet because it's not time. Oh, wait, no, yeah, it is time. It's time for old news. I got nothing new for you. Today's old news is Blu-ray discs and HD DVD discs. They are at an all-out war. If you haven't heard about this, Blu-ray is, I think they're blue discs, and they look like DVDs, which we've all come to know and love. You can do so many things with DVDs. Basically, if you haven't really been paying attention to that either, DVDs are like a VHS, but you don't have to rewind them. And it's like someone squooshed it and sort of took over the image of a frisbee and like spun it around so fast that the centrifugal force, centrifugal. Hold on, we have to figure this out. Centrifugal. It's with an F and a G, F-U-G-A-L. Centrifugal. I thought it had a P in it and a T. Centripetal. It's centrifugal? That's stupid. What a dumb word. Bunch of dumb scientist boys with their math. What a bunch of idiots. So anyway, that's how they made DVDs. And then they thought, these aren't good enough. They only get, 480p? Let's boost that up. Let's get it to 1080 or 720 or maybe even higher one day. Probably not. It's probably going to stop at 1080p. Why would you want any higher resolution than that? It's basically real life at that point. 1920 by 1080? You kidding me? So these Blu-ray discs and HD DVD discs are promising the same things, and it seems to me like they're gonna have to battle this out, and we don't know who's going to win. We just don't. I'm gonna bet that HD DVD is gonna be the one that you want to invest in. Just get all of those players, because Blu-ray? What does that even mean? Is it a water creature like a Tampa Bay Ray, right? And why blue? What's up with the colors here? We don't need those designations. VHSs are just an obscure dark gray. That's what it's all been about ever, always. So go with the HD DVD, but they're probably going to just sweep the ground right under from Blu-ray. But I just thought I'd do my due diligence and make sure you all knew that this whole war was happening, and it will be over probably in the next decade. We'll find out. But yeah, go with HD DVD. That's just my professional opinion. Wasn't that enjoyable, that old news segment, which I definitely recorded at the same time as this piece. So I'm still driving a car. I don't really know what the topic is yet because I haven't figured it out. 100% honesty, there's no reason that I started the podcast right now. I felt like in my bones, like in my, I don't know if I have this bone tubular. Is that a bone? Let's pretend I have a tubular bone. I just felt in my bones that I really needed to start the recording, even though there was no reason for it. There was no external forces saying, Dirt, you gotta get this podcast recorded, otherwise it's never gonna happen. And if you don't record it now, someone else is gonna beat you to the punch. They're gonna record the Dirty Mind podcast, even though the name Dirty Mind podcast has actually been taken, with many, at least a half dozen other podcasts, probably more. It's probably in the hundreds, but it's okay because none of them have a pig named Dirt as the host. So there, I didn't need to start recording, but I did. So we're just gonna roll with the punches. Yellow arrow. I just went through a red arrow. Full disclosure. Actually, I've had enough experience talking with lawyers before. We're just going to edit that part out. Here's what I'm going to redo. I'm going to redo it. This is for Dirt, not for anybody else. Okay, I'm going to redo that little bit 20 seconds ago. Let's see. Oh, it's still a green arrow. Oh, thank goodness. I thought for a second it was turning to yellow, which would then lead me to believe it would turn to red. It did not. It was green the entire way through. I made it through. There was even 3 cars behind me that made it through the turn in the left-only lane. So that's a relief. Goodness. All right, I'm turning into the parking lot for my local home improvement store, of which I am not sponsored, so I'm not going to tell anybody what the name is. You want your name on the world-famous Dirty Mind podcast? You got to pay the piper. You gotta fork over some dough. You gotta give me at least $11. Okay? You want your name? You want your name to be public knowledge? Shared all across the world, world-renowned, so many different countries listen to the podcast. I've heard tell. Okay, I'm in my parking spot. Bye for now. Hey, it's me again. I'm in the store. Anyone know where the plumbing section is? Never mind, just found it. Oh my gosh, it's cheaper to just buy a new toilet. What is going on with this world? Capitalism, you would expect capitalism to affect a lot of things like restaurants and restaurants that also have play places, but you wouldn't expect it to extend to the plumbing section of a hardware store. Man, it's windy. On top of that, and there's a plane going overhead. There's so much going on today. I don't know why everyone's all out and about. It's just a Wednesday. Go home. Go home and eat some peach rings and do whatever humans do on Wednesdays. I don't know. Apparently they just want to take over the world. That's all they're doing. I'm getting in my car. It's kind of hard to record while trying to get in my car. So I don't know whose bright idea this was. I don't think I'll record on the way back. So I know I gotta put my seatbelt on, but I haven't started moving yet. All right, it stopped yelling at me. I don't know whose idea it was to record. So I'm gonna make an executive decision. I'm gonna say I'm gonna stop recording and I'm gonna focus on the road. I didn't have any sort of close incidents last time, but I don't know. It was a tense 4 minutes, so I'd rather make it a relaxing 7 minutes or however long it takes to get back to La Casa, La Maison. Oui. Oh. Good old Russian. All right, bye for now. All right, welcome back to the show. I am back at home in my professional audio recording closet. It's an entire closet. I can see all of the walls at once, which is really nice. You know how some rooms are too big and you can't see all the walls from certain angles if the if the architect had some unusual ideas and just put an L shape in the corner and then you can't see around it, and then there's a peninsula And so you can't see all of the walls and all of the corners. That makes me nervous. I like to be able to see all the walls at once and be able to touch all of the walls at once. It's nice and cozy for me. Thankfully, I'm not narcoleptic. Wait, what's it called? Claustrophobic. I'm not too claustrophobic, so it's not a big deal. It sure sounds good with all the sweaters in here. So yeah, that's where I am. I'm no longer operating a vehicle. Not that I ever was, because that'd be silly. Why would you record a podcast while you're in a moving vehicle? That'd be silly. So it's time to actually reveal the topic of the day. So get this. Here's the topic. What happened to all the potatoes? Where'd they go? What's up with them? How come you don't see potatoes all the time? Like all the time. I used to see the potatoes all of the time. And now what? Now where did they go? You gonna tell me? Huh? Huh, bud? Huh, Buster? You gonna tell me what happened to all the potatoes? You want to just wait for me to do all of the work on a podcast that I decided to record? You want me to do all the work? Okay, I see how it's going. So, when I was out and about in the early days of my youth, I would see potatoes growing in the ground. Now, there is a small chance that these were not potatoes and these were just very young corn plants, but I doubt it, because that'd be redonk. That'd be redonkulous. So you got the potatoes, there's that, and then you jump forward in time about 80 years, and here we are today, and where are the potatoes? I look around, and I see so much grass. I see so much grass when I'm outside, at least, or my face is pressed firmly against the glass of a window. Whoa, glass and grass. Those are very similar words. And they mean the same thing, too, because they're both transparent. You can see through them. They both grow out of the ground. That's pretty cool. It's only one letter. The second letter. What are some other words like that? Where it's the second letter, you just change the second letter, and then boom, it's an entirely different word. Well, you could say like or, and then our. O-A-R, and then O-U-R. And those are pretty different, unless you're talking about a group of oars, with some sort of possession situation, maybe a legal battle between canoes. There you go. Then or and hour. That might throw some folk out. Out. Throw them out. It might throw them into the garbage. That's a good saying. I'm going to swap off with out, and I'm going to start saying that's going to throw some people out. And then the folk around me, who always correct my metaphors and whatnot, they're going to be like, that's not the expression. It's throw people off. And then I say, why would that matter? Why would that be a big deal? Throw people off? Like off the edge of a cliff? That's redonkulous. No, we're throwing people out because we're throwing a strike 3 right down the plate. And it was a perfect throw. The catcher didn't need to move his mitt at all. You know how in baseball, the catcher always has to move his mitt to make it look like, it was a strike, even though it was clearly a ball. And you know for a fact that the umpire fell for it, like 91% of the time. The umpire is just like, wait, hold on, that happened far too quickly. Can you do it again? No, you can't do it again. It was a one-time thing. Well, let me put my glasses on here and check where the mitt currently is for the catcher. Oh, it's right there in the center. Well, then the throw must have been a perfect strike. There's no other explanation for it. And then you got your catcher, Gerardo Hernando. That sounds like a baseball name because it's got letters in it, and some of them are different letters. So Gerardo is like, I got you, umpire. And then umpire says, what'd you say? And then Gerardo says, I don't think I talked. And then the umpire says, "Oh, do you have that whole thing? It's not Tourette's, but it's that one unusual mental affliction where you say things, but you didn't actually say it. Like you communicate, but without the words. Like there's no vocal situation, no vocal connection." And then Gerardo says, "Are you talking about telepathy?" And then the umpire's like, "No, I'm not talking about telepathy. Telepathy, it's not real. That's not, Gerardo, that's not real. Telepathy's not real. Gerardo, 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 telepathy's not real. Gerardo." You're out of here. You know what? Get out of here. You're out of this game. You're done. You're done with baseball. I'm going to make it my life's mission to make sure you're done with baseball. You're done with baseball. No more baseball for Brado. No more baseball, Brado. No Gerardo baseball. So then Gerardo has to find a different way to work. And he's also upset. The thing that's more upset about he's more of upset from that is what was. So the umpire said his name Berardo, like with a B at one point. And that was definitely the more upsetting part of it. Like, it's one thing to get thrown out of a game and to not be able to play the sport that you've dedicated your entire life to, yada, yada, whatever. But to have the umpire say your name wrong when you've been spending so much quality time with that umpire right behind you, just like standing in your shadow or casting a shadow. I guess it depends on where the sun is. But he's been leaving such an impression on you. You've been leaving such an impression on him. And then he throws you out and doesn't even remember your name. Now, there is a possibility that he got super confused because he had the whole situation with saying baseball. You're out of baseball. Baseball begins with a B. Get out of here, Gerardo. And he says Berardo because he was saying baseball a bunch because of that alliteration. Baseball a bunch. That's boom right there. I feel like with alliteration, all it takes is three. All it takes is three. You got three of them, and then boom, there goes the dynamite. You're dynamite. You're so explosive. I wonder why that's a compliment, saying that someone's dynamite. Because, like, no one says, you're TNT, right? You're a grenade. You're a Molotov cocktail. You're an atom bomb. Like, that's not a compliment. It'd be like, what? I destroy civilizations? Is that why would you say that? Is it because of how much of a pot stirrer I am? How anytime someone is got some tea they're spilling, I'm like, hold on. Let me get a paper towel, wipe that up. I don't really get the whole spilling the tea metaphor. Is that a metaphor? It's an expression certainly. Yeah, spilling the tea. I'm just trying to work through it. If you're spilling tea, someone is able to see the tea? Why does that make any sense? For those who haven't heard this expression, spilling the tea is like there's some gossip and you're revealing the gossip. That's probably the most dumbed down version of it. And the cats are fighting over the window seat. We got this awesome window seat that goes, get this, in the window. But it's only one cat at a time, and the other cat was already in there. Second cat was looking at her like, oh, I can't wait for you to fall asleep. Dun 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 dun. yeah, yeah, yeah. For a minute there, it almost went Jurassic Park, but then I reeled it in. I reined it in, and it didn't go full Jurassic Park, because you got to be wary about those John Williams copyright infringements. Those will put you out of business. And that's no good for us, because we rely on business. If it wasn't for business, you know what they say, there wouldn't be any point to being alive. It's all about the business. We all serve the business, the big business. And speaking of business, it's time for today's sponsor. Get ready for this. We all know how windshield wipers work. They take the water off of the windshield or move it around. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that only works when there's already water on your windshield. What about if your windshield is dry and you want it to be moistened? That's where the reverse windshield wipers comes into play. The reverse windshield wipers put water onto your windows so you always have soothing ambient rain sprinkles. This is one of the greatest things that you can do for your vehicle or someone else's vehicle. Is Valentine's Day coming up? Maybe for your significant other, you can put some reverse windshield wipers on every single window in their vehicle. Do they have a van with a bunch of windows? That's perfect for us, because we'll get more money from you. Do they have a truck that is from 2001 and it only has a few windows because most of the vehicle is in the bed of the truck? Don't do that, okay? Get the other vehicle, okay? Not the windowless van. Get the real minivan that has like 9 windows or more, ideally more. As many windows as possible. Get that vehicle, get it suited up with some reverse windshield wipers. That way, at any point in time that you're thinking, golly, I could really use some water on these windows, boom, we can hook you up, literally, because it's got a hookup. Every single reverse windshield wiper has 2 different tubes. One of the tubes has a power connector that needs to be fed somewhere in through a window, so you'll need to keep at least one window cracked at all times. Feed that through into the vehicle. You'll have to find some way to hook it up, maybe through like command hooks or something, adhesives, so you can string that along into a USB. Now, it doesn't come with a USB adapter, so you'll have to find, I'm sure it's somewhere. Yeah, the cord that we use will need to be plugged into a USB, like a 5-volt USB power output, but it doesn't have the USB actual thing at the end. So you'll have to find an adapter to get to a USB and then plug it in. And if you don't have a USB input, or output rather, in your vehicle, then you'll have to get a different adapter that takes the normal power, like a 2-prong, and turns it into USB in. And then it'll power up. But that's only half the battle, because you'll also need to feed in to the water tank. And we couldn't really figure out how to connect it to the windshield wiper fluid, so you'll just have to get some type of water tank on the inside of the vehicle, probably is the safest. So you hook that up. All of the windshield wipers, all these reverse windshield wipers will need to be hooked up into the bladder, if you will, on the inside of the vehicle. So it might slosh around a little, but that also adds to the ambiance, I think. So you'll fill that up with any liquid you want. Normal creek water is fine. If you want to add a little soap, then you will probably won't need to go to the car wash ever again, so that's a bonus. And then after that, beyond that, you can add Gatorade. I don't necessarily recommend Gatorade, but I also don't recommend it either. I don't not recommend it. I confused myself there. So yeah, reverse windshield wipers, they're a great investment. They have so many uses, and they exist. So that is that. Welcome back. Oh my goodness, what a sponsor. I can't wait to get some reverse windshield wipers for myself. That sounds incredible. So back to the topic of the day. What the heck happened to the potatoes? But the thing that I love about potatoes, before we talk about how they're missing, just in general, is obviously we know you can do so many things with potatoes. There's so many options. It's really limitless. Sorry, excuse me. I had like 4 quarts of mac and cheese. The thing that's amazing about the potatoes is you can take them and you can boil them, and then boom, you're done. Just eat it, just like that. You can boil a different type and then slice it open and put some cheese in the middle and some sour cream if you're into that, and some chives, and you got an entire meal right there. Maybe some shredded chicken or something. You're good. You're good to go. But then just looking at fries alone, there's so many options. You can go the chip route. You can go crinkle cut. You can go shoestring. You can beer batter it. You can go with waffle fries, so it's got holes in it, and you got your little sauce or whatever, and then it drips through the bottom and then lands on your leg, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm bleeding. And it's like, oh no, that was just the waffle fry was leaking. Whoops, that was a close call. And then your Aunt Margaret comes over and she's like, you're bleeding? Well, let me take care of that. You know, I was a nurse in the Great War. And it's like, Aunt Margaret, you weren't old enough to be in the Great War. She's like, no, not that one, the other one. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. There was only one Great War. That's what they called World War I before there was World War II. She's like, no, it was the other one. It was the second one. No one talked about it. It was erased from history, just like your uncle. He's gone forever. It's like, Aunt Margaret, he's right over there. He's sitting in a lounger. He's right here, drinking a lemonade. No, but let's get back to your leg, because it looks like it's going to have to be amputated. Let's get the hacksaw. Where's the hacksaw, everybody? It's like, Aunt Margaret, we don't have a hacksaw, and my leg doesn't need to be amputated. It's just a mix between barbecue sauce and ketchup. That's all it is. Oh, that's very clever. I like that idea. Wow, can you come over to my house and show me how you do that at some point? It's like, Aunt Margaret, goodness, it's not that hard. It's 1 part ketchup to 1 part barbecue sauce. Put it in a bowl. Just squirt from one, squirt from the other, you're good. Like, stir it up maybe. You don't even need to. You can use a fry to stir it up, and then you're good to go. She's like, oh, hold on. I gotta get my notepad. I gotta write that down. You know, I was gifted a tablet for Christmas, but I still haven't been able to get past the opening screen where it says hello, and I say hello back to it, but then nothing happens. And then you just walk away. And you leave your food there, and you go across the street to the neighbor's house, because you know that they have a pool. And you're like, hey, can I just jump in? And they nod in agreement. They don't even say anything. And then you're walking into the backyard, and then you just dive headfirst. You don't put your arms out. You just dive headfirst into the pool, and things are much better. You know, things feel better for a second there. A little more refreshing for at least, 8 seconds. Things don't seem quite so crazy anymore. Quite so impossible to deal with. Yeah. Why doesn't everyone do that? Well, I guess it's because they don't have pools. Do you have a pool? No, you don't. You don't have a pool. Are you going to spend the time and money to get a pool and maintain a pool? No, you're not gonna. Definitely not. You'd rather eat acorns without any mustard. That's what you would rather do instead of maintaining a pool. So anyway, speaking of leapfrog, that was one of those games that, I don't even know if you can call it a game, but it was just a thing that kids would do. It's just like, let me jump over you while you're crouched down. That's it. That's the end of it. It's amazing. The thing that really resonates with me is not, it has nothing to do with the game itself. It's the fact that it really stood the test of time, and it's so well known, with the name specifically, when it's just someone is crouched down and you jumped over them. That's it. I'm going to explain it one more time, just in case you're not really getting the gravity of this situation. This world-renowned activity involves one person crouching down and the other person jumping over them. That's it. There's nothing more to it. I'm not holding anything back. I'm not just diluting it and boiling it down to just the base parts. That's the entirety of it. And I think that's one of those things that really proves that simplicity is king. You know, that it wouldn't be so famous if it was more complex, I think. That's why chess still hasn't caught on. It's so complicated. No one has been able to figure it out. It's like, why are these pieces different? Let's bring back checkers. I actually got it. All the pieces were the same. And it's just like leapfrog. You jump over the other pieces and boom, you're good to go. That's it. That's all there is to it. So simplicity is one of those beauties that just, it's so worth the investment in time that it takes to make something simple. I used to think, when I was young and naive, I used to think that simple things were easier to make. And in some cases, yeah, like art, much of the time, real simple, it usually equates to less time. Sure, especially with modern art that is worth around $7-8 million. That usually doesn't take a whole lot of time. But when you're crafting an email, for an example, sometimes you got a lot to say, but you don't want to just be flooding their inbox. So you got to really craft it. You got to whittle it down. I know you were saying something to the effect of, let's circle the wagons and circle back and then we'll get on top of this and put a pin in that. And sometimes you just gotta do some deleting and just say, talk to you tomorrow, you know, goodbye, no thank you, stuff like that. And that takes time. That takes some real effort in looking at what you got in front of you and just trimming the fat and bringing it down into only what you need, only the bare necessities. It's brutal. It's brutal out there in the world. I think we've done a really good job of tackling today's topic. You know, we've moved mountains with words in just a short amount of time. I think we're all better for this experience. But guess what? This experience is not even over yet, because it's time for today's lucky color. Today's lucky color is cerulean. Cerulean. Incredible. It's a nice, bright blue. It's very precious. It's very cute. It would look great on a t-shirt as well as a chair cushion that you can use outdoors. The hex code is 007BA7. Now, I know what you're thinking. Did you choose this just because it says 007 like James Bond? And I would say, no, I didn't. It was a happy accident. Cerulean 007BA7. Real nice color. Look out for that. If you see that color, you're going to have a pretty decent day. Not more than that, just pretty decent. That's sort of the max. So don't be hoping for anything beyond that, because you will be disappointed. You got to temper your expectations. All right, make sure you eat enough grains and sugar today because I feel like most folk don't eat enough grains and sugar. And that's going to be it for us. Enjoy everything that exists. Enjoy the color cerulean. Enjoy the potatoes in all of their forms, metaphorically and literally, if that actually applies. All right, goodbye.